Okay, so prior to us coming back to order, I'd like to refer anybody who needs translator services to Miss Gladys Duarte at the podium. Thank you, Ms. Duarte.
Thank you, President Masters. Buenas tardes, habla Gladys Duarte. Si necesitan servicio de interpretación al español, por favor de llamar al 1-805-324-7680 e ingrese el código de acceso 762-960-391 más la tecla numeral. Este número es totalmente gratuito. Nuevamente llama el número de teléfono 1-805-324-7680 e ingrese el código de acceso 762-960-391 más la tecla numeral. También puede accesar estas instrucciones en nuestro sitio web mcs4kids.com dirigiéndose a la parte inferior de la página en Quick Links y haciendo clic en Board Agendas para ir a la agenda de esta noche. Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Duarte. Well, welcome, everybody. It's good to see an entire room full of people. So thank you. Welcome to the Modesto City Schools regular board meeting, February 21st, 2025. It's not February 21st. This is wrong there. It is, it's been such a long month, and I think it's already February. It's January 21st, 2025. So I will call this meeting to order. That's what I get for reading from a script here. Well, there's nothing to report in closed session. We'll start with roll call. Trustee Brown.
Present.
Trustee Daly is absent. Trustee Irvin is also absent. Trustee Lopez.
Present.
Trustee Marks.
Present.
Vice President Mejia.
Present.
And President Maestas, I am here. Student Board Representative Ahmed Dagger, present. And Student Board Representative Kaveri Gupta is not here. All right, let the record show we do have a quorum, so we'll begin. We'll ask everybody to please stand and join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. This open session meeting of the Board of Trustees is being live streamed at the direction of the board. The live stream is available on the district's website, and recordings will be available for viewing the day after this board meeting. MCS has provided an opportunity for public comment, and it is outlined in our agenda. The public is given an opportunity to call in and leave a voicemail, send us a comment via email, or appear in person before the board. Any public comments received via email or voicemail following the posting of the board agenda and prior to noon the day of this meeting will not be read aloud, but have been transcribed and printed with copies provided to each of us board members prior to the start of this meeting. The voice and email public comments will be attached to a future board meeting minutes for approval. This practice will continue until further notice. For members of the public that are interested in commenting in the future, we welcome your comments. If you wish to address the board during the period for public comment on a subject not on the agenda, you must complete a public presentation request card and submit it to me and for a period for public comment. If you need assistance from our translator, please indicate so on the request card. Every person who wishes to address the board, please fill out a card. You'll find the cards in the lobby, and you can hand your comment cards to Ms. Chambers in the back. There she is. Hi, Ms. Chambers. I also want to remind you that if you wish to make a complaint against a specific district employee, you should follow the district's personnel complaint procedure. Copies of that procedure are available in the lobby, as are agendas copies which outline the procedures we will observe during the period for public comment. The right to address the board does not exempt a speaker from any potential liability for defamation. If you plan to speak on a topic, please fill out the card now, as no cards will be accepted after the period for public comment has started. The maximum time for any one speaker is 3 minutes, for a total of 30 minutes. For those of you requesting translation services, an additional minute will be added to your comment time. Okay, that being said, we're going to get to our Pledge of Allegiance. So we are pleased to welcome two students from Fremont Elementary School to lead us in the flag salute tonight. First, we have Quinn Rogers. Quinn, stand up. There we go, Quinn. Quinn's a sixth grader, and he's a positive attitude, joyful presence, and is a pleasure to have at school. She was top performer in the district spelling bee and participated in the county competition as well. Quinn received the Community Impact Award for Protective Poncho Invention at the Invention Convention. She participates in band, traffic patrol, and the STEM program Odyssey of the Mind. In her free time, Quinn enjoys music, taking piano lessons, performing with the Central Valley Youth Chorus, and participating in musical theater. She is also a competitive swimmer. What doesn't she do? After high school, Quinn aspires to attend UC Davis and become a police officer. And also, we have Noah Romero. Noah, there he is. Sixth grader Noah's kind and compassionate nature makes him a welcoming presence in any group. He is a dedicated and hard worker. Noah has received perfect attendance awards multiple times and has also earned the Character Trait Award. He serves as a classroom representative for the student council, participates in band, and is active in the after-school soccer program and gaming club. In his free time, Noah loves acting, performing with the local children's theater, and plays soccer on local teams. After high school, Noah dreams of becoming a professional soccer player. Thank you so much, Noah. All right. Students, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you for leading us in the pledge. All right, one more big round of applause for our pledgers. They're going to go out and do some musical theater for us at some point, both of them. Ms. Jerakina Shams with our recognitions. Actually, before we do that, we have Dr. Noguchi's welcome.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, President Maestas. Good evening, everyone. It's great to see so many people out there this evening, especially families and friends of employees for our recognition and employees making a difference. It's great to see you and honor you tonight, so thank you for coming. You do make a difference in the lives of our students, and you make a difference in the lives of many in this community, so thank you for your service and your time. Tonight I have a statement that I want to read because my message tonight is a difficult one for me, and I want to make sure that I get this right. It's not easy to say goodbye after 33 years. I am not going to get emotional. 33 years in education. Oh, that's what that was for. I recognize, however, I do recognize that is my time, and it's my time to retire. It's my next chapter, it's my new adventure, and I am looking forward to it. To those in the room that are parents and grandparents, you understand how much I'm looking forward to spending time with my grandchildren and my family. The decision comes with mixed emotions, as serving as a superintendent for Modesto City Schools has truly been a great honor. Over the years, I've had the privilege of working with amazing educators, staff, parents, community members, and an absolutely fantastic board, and the board members that were here before you. To each of you, I want to thank you. Your dedication, hard work, passion, together we have achieved so much, and we will showcase some of this year's advancements in the next board meeting, in our mid-year review. I am confident that you, the board, working together with educators, with our labor partners and the community, will make the right decision in our next superintendent. There has been much accomplished over the last 7 years, and tonight isn't the time to go over all those, but we will spend time in the near future outlining our accomplishments, but equally as important, identifying where we need to go. I am confident, as I said earlier, that the Board of Education, using the feedback from our labor partners, our parents, our community members, our students, that they will select an effective leader that will have the skills necessary to move this district forward. As for me, I am fully focused on ensuring that we end this year strong and on target. Folks know that I am a target-driven leader, while at the same time planning for the opening of schools, all of which has to happen here in the spring. My focus will be on advancing our strategic goals and fostering strong relationships with our labor partners, MTA and CSEA, as I believe these relationships are essential for a high-performing school district. Strong partnerships from the boardroom to the classroom are critical to ensuring that our district operates efficiently and effectively. These approaches create the right conditions, and I talk about creating the right conditions for our students. We can't do this without strong partnerships. Our motto, every student matters and every moment counts, is especially important during uncertain times. We must remain focused through this leadership change. We can't veer from our course because we are on the right path. There will be rumors that I'm quitting, and rest assured I'm not at this point. I'm not going anywhere until there's someone that can replace me here in this seat and support the transition once the new leader has been selected. I am deeply invested in the success of Modesto City Schools, not only the teachers, the staff, the students, but the community at large, and I will make sure that this transition is a strong one. So with that, I turn it back over to President Maestas.
Thanks. All right, thank you so much, Dr. Noguchi. We'll go on Mrs. Sharakina Shams with our recognitions.
Thank you, President Maestas. Good evening, Board Trustees, Superintendent Dr. Noguchi. That will be a tough one to follow tonight, but I will try. Good evening, members of our community, and thank you for being here and joining us tonight. Welcome back after the winter break. I hope the holidays were restful and enjoyable for you all. Tonight we have the privilege of celebrating the exceptional students and staff of Modesto City Schools. Recognizing individuals who make a difference every day is one of the most rewarding parts of what we do and the best part of our board meeting. So we're going to get started tonight with the first recognition of the evening, and that is our Character Education Award. January's character trait of the month is respect. Tonight we are celebrating an outstanding scholar, Hervin Garcia, a 6th grader at Shackelford Elementary School who exemplifies this trait. And here to tell us much more about his honor is Shackelford's principal, Ms. Erica Del Toro. Let's have both of you come up to the front of the room and face the audience while Ms. Del Toro tells us a little bit about Hervin, and then we'll take your picture next to the sign by the board. Come on, you can come up here. Over here. Yeah, let's get you over here.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, good evening, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Dr. Noguchi, families, and staff. Hervin is the very definition of respect. Whether interacting with peers, teachers, or even the youngest scholars on campus, his respectfulness shines through and fosters a positive, inclusive culture that makes Shackelford a better place for everyone. But his impact goes beyond respect. Herveen is a responsible scholar who takes his commitment seriously and gives his best efforts in all that he does. He's reliable, dependable, and a role model for others. Herveen always pounces on the opportunity to offer help, whether it's walking young scholars to class during challenging mornings, watering the campus planters, or assisting with assembly setups and ensuring everything is cleaned up afterwards. His initiative and leadership motivate others to get involved and take pride in their school. Herveen's respect and regard for others roars with Panther pride, and he exemplifies the core values of Shackelford Elementary. Congratulations, Herveen.
What an inspiring young scholar. Thank you, Herveen, and thank you, Ms. Del Toro. Next, we are proud to present our MCS Hero Award, and tonight's honoree is Ms. Brenda Patton, who is attendance liaison at Franklin Elementary School. Brenda, we are honored to invite you to come up to the front, along with your principal, Ms. Catherine Mullins, so Ms. Catherine Mullins can tell us a little bit about this award.
I'm going to try to do this without getting. Good evening, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Dr. Noguchi, families, and a lot of staff and Brenda's family members here. For over 30 years, Brenda Patton has been the heart and soul of Franklin. She has dedicated her life to supporting students, families, and the community. The love she has for her work and those she serves is evident in every interaction. Brenda plays a pivotal role in supporting Franklin's attendance efforts, which has allowed us to achieve the honor of being the #1 school in the district for the past 2 years. Her kindness and compassion know no bounds. She has a heart of gold and always goes above and beyond to assist families and students in need. As Brenda prepares to retire at the end of this school year, her absence will leave a void that cannot be filled. Franklin will not be the same without her warmth, dedication, and daily acts of selflessness. Yet her legacy will endure, woven into the fabric of the school she has helped to shape. Tonight, I am honored to recognize Brenda Patton as an MCS hero. I want to express my gratitude for her decades of service, her love of our school, and the countless lives she has uplifted. Brenda's unwavering commitment has touched so many and created a ripple effect of success and inspiration across generations. You will forever remain a cherished part of our community, Brenda. Thank you for being our hero.
Thank you so much for bringing that forward, Ms. Mullins, and thank you so much, Ms. Patton. Congratulations. Our last recognition of the night is really a special treat. We're honored to have Daniel Nago, Classified Professional Development Coordinator, to introduce this year's nominees for Employees Making a Difference. As Mr. Nago makes his way up to the front, I would like to also welcome all trustees up to the podium. Along with Ms. Soriel Marroquin, the third Vice President of the Chapter 7, California School Employees Association Chapter 7 President, to help us hand out these important awards.
Is this on? No, it's on. Well, good evening, Board Trustees, Superintendent Dr. Noguchi, families, and staff. It is my privilege tonight to recognize the incredible employees making a difference at Modesto City Schools. Individuals who embody our vision that every student graduates with the skills, knowledge, and character traits essential to thrive and contribute to society. For 18 years, the Stanislaus County Office of Education and the Association of California School Administrators, Region 7, have partnered to host the Employees Making a Difference program. This initiative celebrates the outstanding classified educational employees who consistently go above and beyond their daily roles. These exceptional individuals demonstrate the unwavering dedication to their work, positively impacting our students, families, schools, and communities. This evening, I'm thrilled to introduce 18 exemplary classified employees who were nominated by their administrators for their outstanding contributions to Modesto City Schools. Before we begin, I want to personally thank you all for the remarkable work you all do. I will now invite each nominated employee to come forward to receive their certificate in recognition for their exceptional service. So we'll start off tonight with Esther Ayala, Instructional Paraprofessional, Student Support Services, Expanded Learning Program. Darlene Bond, Instructional Paraprofessional, Special Education, Beard Elementary School. Renee Barono, Bookkeeper, Enox High School. Maria Mercedes Buswalian, Instructional Paraprofessional, Special Education, Shackelford Elementary School. Vanessa Cuevas, Instructional Paraprofessional, Garrison Elementary School. Jennifer Dr. Eddy, who is not here tonight, Administrative Assistants, Fairview Elementary School. The next we have Tamara Garrett, Campus Assistant, Martone Elementary School. We have our next person, Manuel Gonzalez, Head Custodian, Burbank Elementary School. Pamela Ingalls, Typist Clerk, Modesto High School. Lailing Ma over at Bilingual Cross-Cultural Professional, Paraprofessional, Davis High School. That's a long title. Kei Hong Ork over at Roosevelt Junior High School, Instructional Paraprofessional, Special Education. Alma Orozco could not be with us tonight, Application Specialist, Information and Educational Technology Services. Eva Padilla, Students Records Clerk, Everett Elementary School. Brenda Patton, Attendance Liaison, Franklin Elementary School. Susie Reyes, School Secretary, Gregory High School. Alejandra Torres, Typist Clerk, 2 Translator, Robertson Road Elementary School. Paula Valbuena Leon, District Translator and Interpreter, Curriculum, Instruction, and Professional Development. And last but not least, Jamie Wood, Lead Application Specialist, Information and Educational Technology Services. And I am delighted to share that as part of this process, the district has selected 4 outstanding individuals to represent Modesto City Schools at the county level, and those individuals tonight that we'll be sending tomorrow will be Paula Balbuena Leon, Pamela Ingalls, Tamara Garrett, and Manuel Gonzalez. Let's give them a round of applause for their hard work and dedication to Modesto City Schools. For this group, 1 finalist in each work category will be selected by the Stanislaus County Office of Education to represent our county in the statewide Classified School Employee of the Year program sponsored by the California Department of Education. So on behalf of Modesto City Schools, I sincerely thank you all and tonight's honorees for their invaluable contributions. Your efforts, their efforts, have a lasting impact shaping our students' future, empowering families, and strengthening our community. Thank you very much, and have a great night. Families, if you could join us, there's a room next door, and we'll have a little reception.
All right.
That concludes tonight's recognitions, President Maestas.
All right, thank you. All right, so we'll move on to Board of Education reports. Do we have any board members who'd like to share a report tonight? Okay, Trustee Marks?
Just a couple of things. I was able to attend the clergy council with Linda Mumasalari, and it was a really good meeting. There was a lot came to that meeting, and we were packed into this really small room at the West King Kennedy Collaborative, but it was a really, it's always informative, and it's wonderful that we can work with the law enforcement and the clergy in our city, and just the sharing that goes on there about how our city, that partnership helps us in some very difficult situations that have come up over the years. And they started it in 2013, so it's been going on for a long time. And then the second thing was I was able to attend the Martin Luther King celebration at the West King Kennedy, at the Christian Love Baptist Church. And I appreciate the fact that we were able to open a parking lot nearby so that the attendees didn't have to walk for blocks to get to the event. So it went really well. And there's a coach, Coach Carl Bryant, received an award, Freedom Award. I believe John Irvin received that a couple years ago. And also Mrs. My mind just went blank, but anyway, and Mrs. Anderson, yes, Mrs. Anderson, because I asked, anyway, she had the same last name as somebody else, and so, but Mrs. Anderson over at the King Kennedy Collaborative, and it was wonderful, just a great honor to be there and celebrate. And then also Pastor Bryant was the speaker for the event, and he's been a coach for many of our students in our town. So it was a very special time, and the room was packed. So that was all.
Thank you. Trustee Lopez.
Good evening, everyone. First, I want to say that I attended the Martin Luther King mixer put on by the Latino Community Roundtable, the King Kennedy Center, and NAACP, and a variety of other organizations that are slipping at this moment. It was great to be in community, hearing poetry, hearing words of affirmation, learning more about Dr. Martin Luther King. And so really inspiring to be a part of. I wanted to do something a little different just with my time. I just wanted to bring up and highlight a community member that of the district that I represent that has been an inspiration to the community in the wake of her passing. Rebecca Harrington passed away a couple of weeks ago. She was instrumental to bringing Latino culture to our community with the Dia de los Muertos. She was president of the LCR, the Latino Community Roundtable, was part of the GI Forum, and was also instrumental to advocating on behalf of district elections back in 2016, I believe, 2017. And so she recently passed away, so I like to highlight that she did a lot of great work for our community and for the district, and then really being a strong advocate for the community in Tuolumne, around Tuolumne Elementary, as that was her area of residence. So like to bring her up and highlight all her work, and she's really a great moral model of the kind of leadership we need in community.
Thank you. Trustee Brown.
Yes, it's been a busy start of the year, and I regret that I was not able to attend the Martin Luther King celebration yesterday. We had power knocked out at our home on Friday, and I had to be there to negotiate some key things that had to happen. So I felt terrible that I had to miss that, but I'm grateful to hear that Carl Bryant received that award. He's always been a good, close friend of mine, and he coached several of my kids in track through the years. I also had in my notes wanting to recognize Rebecca Harrington at her passing. She was one of Dr. Noguchi's key communicators, and also, as you mentioned, Adolfo, she was a strong advocate for that Tuolumne community, the pocket of, kind of the forgotten pocket of Modesto, and made sure that they got the attention they needed. I think she was one of the strongest advocates for the improvements we were able to make at that campus, and I am grateful to Rebecca for all of her support. She was truly a friend of the district, and one that will not be forgotten. I was able to attend the meeting of the Association of Stanislaus County School Boards. There's a lot of exciting things coming forward. There is an event coming up, and I'll have to see if I can, yes, it was originally highlighted as the new school board member workshop on Tuesday, February 25th. And there will be some additional instruction available to us as board members that evening, and some required instruction that we have to complete will be presented that evening. So I want everybody to please put that on your calendar and be aware that that will be available to us. I'm excited about the school board member dinner that we have in April. That's April 30th this year. And you'll recall last year that our own Cindy Marks was honored as the School Board Member of the Year for Stanislaus County. And we're going to ask her to help us present that award again this year to the recipient. And there will be several things in several areas where our students will be recognized for things that are happening. One of those is that Downey High School will be asked to show the animation film that they won top honors for again this year, 2 years in a row. So we will see that as part of our dinner entertainment. And great to be able to highlight the accomplishments of so many of our students. And let's see, part of my responsibilities there, I was able to attend a meeting of local board members with Assembly Member Alanis last Friday. And it was great to visit with him, knowing that he is truly a friend of the district and watches out for our interests in Sacramento. You may not know, but he was the resource officer representing the Sheriff's Department for our South Modesto campuses for a number of years. So he's been on our campuses, he knows our kids, he knows their needs, and was so willing to hear from us. And I give kudos to Dr. Noguchi and Cabinet for feeding me some key issues that I needed to discuss with him to make sure that our needs are well represented in Sacramento. So great to have the right people in place for us to be able to make sure that our voices are heard. I think that's it for now, but great start to a great year, and look forward to many great things to come.
All right, thank you. Vice President Mejia.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna actually comment on anything, but I kind of always go with my heart last minute. So I know I've been listening to a lot of folks in the community, kind of expressing some concerns about what's going on with the immigrant community. So I just want to, put it, they're in my heart. We're here, and I know our schools are doing a wonderful job, providing resources for them and our sites and stuff. So I just want to keep them in our hearts, in our minds, as I know that they're experiencing a lot, and they're a vital part of our community, and we want to be for them. We want to stand with them, and some of those moments of concern with social media and so the other things are fueling some of these fears. And I just know that I'm here as a person. I'm here to support in any way that I can, but also encourage them to attend our informational stuff that we have at our schools and our partnerships with trusted sources and partners. So I just want to thank our departments that's taking the lead in doing all that work, so our families feel safe, like in our campuses and in our spaces. So I just want to put that in the forefront. So thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Mejia. Trustee Brown?
I did forget to mention one thing that came out in my discussion with Assembly Member Alanis. He received an invitation from Trustee Daly to attend a performance at the Capitol by one of our performing groups from Johansson, and he was there. Excuse me. Oh boy. As we get older, our eyes leak more than they ever used to before. What he noticed from that was how inclusive our students are, of students with handicaps, and how they were able to participate, not with paraprofessionals or one-on-ones by their side, but with other students supporting them. I wasn't there, but the picture he painted brought me to tears, realizing what training our students are receiving and working with our special needs students that they are with every day on their campuses. So from him, thank you for what we're doing.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't really have anything, but I do want to mention one thing in particular. Over the last couple weeks, there was a complete tragedy down in Southern California. I have a lot of friends that live down there. I have family that were evacuated, and I have teacher friends who had lost everything. In Pasadena, it is estimated in the school district, 300 plus staff members have lost all of their, have lost their houses or lost significant amounts of stuff in the fires in Pasadena. Teachers, classified staff. There are more people affected than what you see on the media and just in the Palisades. There are a lot of families affected, and they lost everything. And so I just if you have a chance, donate to the Red Cross, donate to CTA. The California Teachers Association has a specific emergency fund that goes directly to teachers. But on top of that, a lot of students and families lost everything. And the school districts down there they're going to be months and months and probably years behind in trying to get kids back from this horrible tragedy down in LA. So if you can, donate, please. My heart goes out to everyone, my family, friends down there that have suffered a great deal. And my thoughts and prayers are with them as they rebuild throughout that. So I just wanted to give a little bit of time to that I'm thinking about them and the educational spaces that have been lost. Schools just gone. And we're thinking of them in this time. Okay. So back to are there any more reports, board members? Okay. So we're going to move on to approving of the consent agenda. Are there any comments regarding the consent agenda items from the public? Okay, from the board, Trustee Marks.
Yes, thank you. I had asked to have item D2, David as in David. Its title is Approval of Second Reading of Proposed Revisions of Board Policy 6BP 6146.1 High School Graduation Requirements. I had voted no on it on the first reading, and so I requested to have it pulled so I could vote no on it on the second reading.
Okay. So there's been a motion. Is there a motion to bring D2 and make that B11?
Could we, if you want to wait till the end, that's fine. It was just a quick one. Can I just do it at the beginning and vote on it, and then we'll be done with it?
We can
Okay.
put that,
Point of information.
yes.
I know that was a topic that we spent quite a bit of time on it. So is there anything, I mean, would it be, is there a presentation that would be ready to talk about this, or?
No need for a presentation. I just wanted to vote no public on it because I voted no on it in public last time, that's all.
Understood, okay.
Yeah. All right, so can we put that as B3A?
Okay, yeah,
Between B and B3A.
okay, thank you.
All right, so do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda with the pulling of D2 and putting it as B3A?
I make the motion.
Okay, motion. Okay, motion by Trustee Marks, second by Trustee Brown. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No, we don't have to do
No?
roll call because
Okay.
they're not here.
That passes unanimously. Okay, so now we will approve the order of discussion items. Do I hear a motion to approve the order of discussion items? There's been a suggestion to table item B5. No? Okay, so we're not tabling B5. Is there a motion to approve the order of action items with the inclusion of B3A?
I move approval.
Okay. Moved by trustee Marks, second by Vice President Mejia. All those in favor, state aye. Aye. Any opposed? No, passes unanimously. All right, that pulls us to our period for public presentations. I have no cards tonight, is that correct, Ms. Chambers? All right, so if I have no cards, no public presentations, we will move on. All right, we only have one of our student reps tonight, so we will start with Student Representative Dagger. Do you have a report for us?
Yes, I do. Okay, so finally back from break, which was pretty restful for most students, especially because of the recent 3-day weekend. I've noticed considerably more energy and considerably less eye bags in the eyes of my fellow students in comparison to the end of the last semester, which was a lot more stressful, obviously. And yeah, so most schools, including Bayer, Davis, Downey, Johansson, and really almost all the schools, have started preparing for or have already completed their winter HOCO. Posters are going up in hallways, spirit dress-up weeks are happening. I actually went to the Modesto High School homecoming game last Friday. We don't talk about the score, but the school spirit and the atmosphere more than made up for it. So it's fine. No grudges. Yeah, we had our inter-high council meeting last Friday. So I caught up with a lot of the inter-high members because we didn't meet in December. So we caught up with school concerns and recent events from each of the council members. And we also laid out our exact schedule for the remainder of our service project. So we're looking to get that done by April maximum. And then we also were very happy to be given a lot of very valuable information and data from Mr. Stephen Hurst, our Senior Director of State and Federal Programs on the LCAP. And we had the much appreciated chance to give our student opinions on the thought exchange form, which was awesome because democracy. And then, yeah, that was about it for this report. Yep, thank you.
All right, thank you, Student Representative Dagger. Do we have a representative from Modesto Teachers Association today? Nope, no report. Thank you, Ms. Peterson. Is there a representative from CSEA? Thank you.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Cabinet, Dr. Noguchi. My name is Soria Marquand, Third Vice President of Modesto Chapter 007. I am here to report on behalf of Fawn Peterson, Modesto Chapter President. I first want to congratulate all of our amazing classified employees for making a difference in our district. It was great to see the number and all of them here. It was an honor for me to be here to congratulate them. On to other business. CSEA continues to work effortlessly with the district to minimize the number of employees that will be affected due to layoffs. And for now, that's all I have to report. Thank you guys for your time and have a great evening.
Thank you. All right, that leads us to B3A, which is approval of second reading of proposed revisions of Board Policy BP 6146.1, high school graduation requirements. Trustee Marks?
Yes, I just wanted to explain. I voted no last time, and I would like to vote no again. And just to recall, I voted no on this because we eliminated world religions class, and then we also reduced the number of units for students to graduate. And I had felt very strongly about that, and so I voted no. So I just wanted to be able to have it in the record that I voted no for it because we could have something where it's shifted, and so that's why I wanted to just vote no.
All right. Thank you. Any other comments from board? All right, do I have a motion to approve B3A? Motion by Vice President Mejia. Do I have a second? Second by Trustee Brown. All in favor of approving the second reading of the Board Policy BP 6146.1 high school graduation requirements signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay.
Nay?
Nay. Any abstentions? Seeing none, passes 4-1. All right, that gets us to the approval of acceptance of the district's 23-24 financial statement and auditor's report. Mrs. Early.
Thank you, President Maestas. Good evening, trustees. The annual audit is the final step in closing the prior year, and it is required by Education Code Section 41020, and every California school district must provide an annual audit of its financial records of the district, including all funds of the district, student body, and cafeteria funds. We've had the prior audit firm for well over a decade, and I'm pleased to introduce Mr. John Whitehouse, a partner with Christie White, Certified Public Accountants. We chose, after a competitive process, we chose to award the contract to Christie White. This is the first year that they've audited our financial records. It was a pleasure working with the team of Mr. Whitehouse. But when you change from an audit firm that has been with us for a number of years, although they look at things the same way, they're all required to look, there is a different lens. And it's pleasing to have a different lens, different eyes looking at our financial records. And after the presentation by Mr. Whitehouse, we recommend that the board approve the acceptance of the district's 23-24 financial statement and auditor's report.
Good evening, Governing Board. Thank you for having me here. Just a touch base on responsibilities regarding the audit. Management's responsibility is the preparation and fair presentation of these financial statements. This includes the design, implementation, and maintenance of internal controls, while the auditor's responsibility over these financial statements is to provide an opinion over the financial, provide an opinion about the reasonable assurance that the financial statements are free of material misstatement. Our opinion does not address the financial condition of the district, however. Just, a quick highlight on some changes for this year as well, or as many of you are aware. Long-term debt has increased year over year, roughly about 3 to 4% since the prior year. That's mainly attributed to the increase in the net pension liability, and that's all actuarially determined based on the state's pension plans. So touching base on our auditor's responsibilities, the first opinion that was rendered in these financial statements was on the financial statements overall. And on page 1 of the audit report, it states, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects the respective financial position of the governmental activities, each major fund, and the aggregate remaining fund information of Modesto City Schools as of June 30, 2024. This is an unmodified opinion. It's the best opinion you can receive from an external audit firm. We also took a look at internal controls, and in financial statements overall, some of the procedures that we included were testing cash, accounts receivable, capital assets, accounts payable, long-term debt, and journal entry processes. Overall, there was no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses noted for this year, and there was no non-compliance over the financial statements as well. We also rendered an opinion on the financial the federal awards the district receives. This year we tested internal controls and program compliance for the child nutrition cluster, as well as the education stabilization fund discretionary grants. Again, we rendered an unmodified opinion. No significant deficiencies or material weaknesses were noted. And lastly, the last opinion that we issued was on the independent auditor's report for state compliance or state awards. In here, we there's a state audit guide that gets issued each year, which has procedures that us as auditors are required to follow. And some of those state compliance areas are attendance reporting, instructional time, instructional materials, and the school accountability report card. Here we issued another unmodified opinion. It's the best opinion you can receive with no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses noted. However, there was some findings that were required to be disclosed per the state audit guide, and we'll touch base on those now. So there was 3 findings that were reported in relation to state compliance. And the first one was on attendance reporting. The second one was on educator effectiveness block grant, and the last one was on the school accountability report card. So we'll go over those right now. And those start on page 95 of the audit report. So the first one was on attendance reporting. And during our audit of the district's P2 and annual attendance report for Modesto City Elementary and Modesto High School, we determined that support provided for the average daily attendance report differed from the amounts reported on each district's P2 and annual attendance reports. The reporting errors resulted in an understatement of 60.8 ADA in the second period attendance report. So that was an understatement of the ADA. So what we found was, 60.8, which roughly is about $890,000 in additional funding that the district should receive. It may not be exactly that dollar amount because there's a 3-year average for the last 3 years. So it may change a little bit, but that's what the amount that we needed to report to the state. The second finding was related to educator effectiveness block grant. Here, we noted that the LEA submitted the educator effectiveness block grant annual expenditure and data reported to the CDE on October 9th of 2023, where there was a due date required by September 30th of 2023. So it was reported late. There was a question cost of the entire grant allocation in this amount. And the last finding was regarding the school accountability report card. During our testing of the school accountability report card, we tested against the supporting documentation, which is a fit form. And so when we tested what was included in the SARC versus what was in the fit forms for La Loma Junior High School, we noted discrepancies. And so for the ranking of interior, was rated on fair, or as fair, on the site's fit form, but the SARC indicated that it was a good rating. So there's a little bit of discrepancy there. And then the second site was in relation to James C. Enox High School. We noted a discrepancy for the rankings of restrooms and fountains, which was rated as fair on the fit form, but the SARC reported it as good. So no question costs associated with this finding. It's just a required compliance element that the state wants us to look at as auditors. Any questions about the audit report or findings presented?
Is that the full report?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. Are there any comments from the public on this agenda item? All right. Seeing none, questions or comments from the board. Trustee Marks?
Yes, I was, when I read through the report, I was trying to understand that the page on the SARC and the FIT form, and which one did we do? Did we do the FIT form or did we do the SARC? We did FIT?
Yes.
We do the fit.
Okay.
And we utilize a vendor in some cases for that.
All right.
It's a facility inspection tool, I think is what FIT
Yeah.
stands for. But yes, that's our report.
Okay, so it turned out better than we had reported because the SARC said it was good instead of fair. So,
I think it's the opposite.
Oh.
Yeah, because
better than
it's supposed to
fair.
be fair,
Oh,
but you
and it
reported
was
it as
with
better
good.
than it should have been reported
Okay.
as.
Yes,
'Cause I thought
the
fit was-
inspection, and the day of the inspection, ranked it fair. It
Mhm.
was reported as good in the
Okay.
report.
Okay.
So there was a discrepancy that the auditors found.
Yeah, I understood the discrepancy, but I was trying to figure out who did what. Yeah, I just didn't understand that in the way it was written.
Mhm.
Just, so I understood there was a discrepancy. But I also want to say thank you so much. It was very detailed. I appreciate having new eyes. I know changing auditors ever so often is a good idea, just because you do get fresh eyes in a different way of, a different lens, as Mr. Zerley said. And so I appreciate that, and it was very thorough, and the written portion was helpful to understand some of the items that were going on, so thank you.
Thank you. I also forgot there was one, we also completed the district's bond measures, the bond audit reports, so there was actually a couple more slides. I just was asking questions about the district's audit report. But we also did the measure D, E, and L bond audits, the financial and performance audits. And so for each of those bonds, we issued an unmodified opinion again, clean opinion language, as you can see here on the screen. There was no findings presented for any of those bond measures. And so we tested roughly $26 million in expenditures between all of three of those bond measures. We also tested 3 projects that went to bid during the year for bidding procedures. And noted that all of the applicable bidding procedures were followed, and that the contracts were appropriately awarded to the lowest responsible bidder. We also reviewed change orders associated with contracts, and reviewed those contracts in association with the district's policies on change orders. No issues were noted there. And the report on performance, no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses were noted. And again, the last bullet point here is just indicating that the results of the audit test indicated that in all material respects, that the Measure D, E, and L bond building fund expended funds only for specific projects approved by the voters. So we looked to make sure that what was approved by the voters is what they're actually spending that money on. And there was no discrepancies noted or errors noted.
Excellent, thank you. Are there any public comments on the bond audit? All right, Trustee Brown?
I'm particularly grateful that we have a clean report from our bond oversight, and it's great to be able to report to the public that we are good stewards of their funds. So thank you. One question that arose from the previous report, in my 20-plus years of representing the public on school boards, it seems that every audit report has given criticism to the use of student funds and the records that are maintained for student body accounts. How did we do on that this year?
Yeah, there was no internal control weaknesses or anything that we noted during our testing for the
That's worth
ACs.
celebrating.
Yep.
Because that is really difficult money to track. And knowing that we have great oversight there is really to be noted. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you for your presentations. Do I have a motion to approve the acceptance of the district's 2023-24 financial statement and auditor's report? Okay, motion by Vice President Mejia, second by Trustee Marks. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much. Moves us on to our report on ethnic studies. So we'll invite the speaker, Ms. Lori Hewlin.
All right, good evening, Board President Maestas, board members, Dr. Noguchi, cabinet, and community. Tonight I will be reporting on the Modesto City Schools Ethnic Studies. The purpose of this report is to review the definition of ethnic studies, review the process for both our course development and teacher preparation, how we are developing course content and piloting curriculum to support that content, and lastly, to review next steps. Our collective why that every student graduates with the essentials to thrive and contribute to society is strongly supported by the Ethnic Studies course. As you will hear in this report, our students will learn to examine the lived experiences of others in their local community, learn to dialogue with each other to support common understanding, and to engage in contributing to society. The work aligns with District Goal 1, focusing on achievement and college and/or career readiness. Ethnic studies is an interdisciplinary field that examines histories, experiences, and cultures. State Law AB 101 requires that the 4 fields of ethnic studies, African American Black Studies, Latino, Chicano, Hispanic Studies, Asian American and Pacific Islander Studies, and Native American Indigenous First Nations Studies be the focus of the content. In addition to these 4 fields of study, groups that are represented in our students' communities will be included as the students progress through the content. For course development, we were guided by state law, a state model curriculum, and community input. We also have teacher input as they participated in professional learning, partnering with University California Davis and Epic Education. We will now look more closely at each component. State Law AB 101 adds a 1-semester ethnic studies course to graduation requirements beginning with the graduating class of 2030. The law also requires that school districts are to begin offering the course in the 25-26 school year. Another guiding document is the model curriculum that focuses on 8 outcomes, 6 values and principles, and 4 themes, which we will review over the course of this report. The 8 outcomes establish the goals and purpose of this course of study. While ethnic studies has content similar to the way other courses have content, its purpose is to focus on developing the pursuit of justice, equity, and inclusivity, help students better understand themselves and those around them, and on their campuses and in their community, to learn to recognize intersectionality and how that can impact lives. It also focuses on empowering students to see themselves as capable of civic engagement that can have a positive impact on their community. It will develop in our students interpersonal communication skills as they engage with each other in their learning. Another component of the model curriculum are the 6 values and principles students will learn to understand each other's cultures and the contributions made both individually and collectively that are reflected in their community. Student learning will focus on documents and historical events, encouraging students to engage in critical examination, challenge themselves to think more deeply, making connections in what they learn and with the perspectives of others. Inclusivity is one of the 8 outcomes of ethnic studies as outlined in the model curriculum that we reviewed earlier. This outcome aligns with District Goal 1.6, which is to increase access to general education for students with disabilities through inclusionary practices. To explain more about this, I would like to introduce Melissa Stone.
Good evening. My name is Melissa Stone, and I serve as the District's Special Education Inclusion Coordinator for grades 7-12. Since the Ethnic Studies Pilot Committee was established in the spring of 23-24, I have had the privilege of collaborating with teachers as part of this initiative. One key aspect of the course is identity and belonging, both which are imperative when implementing inclusive practices. Over the past 12 months, I have witnessed a dedicated group of educators thoughtfully engage in developing the new course with a student-centered approach. Ensuring that lessons are both meaningful and accessible to the diverse learners has been a central focus. I've had the chance to collaborate with many teachers, but one in particular who's on the pilot committee for various lessons that he is implementing. I'm excited to have had the opportunity to demonstrate a student collaboration strategy aimed at fostering academic discourse and strengthening community. To make progress towards District Strategic Goal 1.6, which is to increase access to general education for students with disabilities through inclusionary practices, students receiving special education services and the parallel program will take this course in a general education setting rather than in a separate setting, which we call the special day class. Students will receive support through push-in services that will be provided by SDT teachers or paraprofessionals. CIPD is working with the SPED department to schedule training this spring. The training will equip general education teachers, special education teachers, and paraprofessionals with effective push-in strategies to support all learners in the classroom. This is a wonderful opportunity for students as staff advance our efforts in fostering a sense of belonging for all.
In the 2021-2022 school year, the Ethnic Studies Task Force was formed. The group was 36 members, including community members and staff from Modesto City Schools. They met 5 times over a 6-month time frame and brought a report to the board in July of 2022. In August of 2023, the Ethnic Studies Guidance Council began meeting and continues to meet most months. The group represents the interests of local communities. The purpose of this group is to provide community input to guide the development and design of the Modesto City Schools Ethnic Studies course. This group has reviewed units and lessons from the model curriculum and the curriculum committee to be able to provide guidance and feedback. We appreciate the work of this group in its second year as they continue to provide guidance. Members from the community, as listed on this slide, were invited to participate, and I would like to now introduce Dr. Mary Rofe to share her experience as a community member from CSU Stanislaus.
Good evening, Governing Board and Superintendent Dr. Noguchi. My name is Mary Rofe. I am an ethnic studies professor at CSU Stanislaus. I'm also the chair of the ethnic studies department there, and I am a Modesto community member. And my experience with being not only a member of the Ethnic Studies Guidance Council, but also a member of the Ethnic Studies Task Force at the invitation of Dr. Noguchi, has really been inspiring. And for me, it is tremendously enhanced my sense of belonging as a member of this community. It has provided me a connection back to my first love, which is K through 12 education, as someone who started out as a 7th grade American world geography and American history teacher in 1993. My experience as a community member in providing community input is that Modesto City Schools has shown an unwavering and a passionate and a deeply thoughtful commitment to ensuring that our teachers, that community members, and our students, and also the families of our students are really integrated into this process of what can be very challenging, what can be very conflict-ridden. And my experience as a community member has been the exact opposite. All of the members of the task force and the council have really leaned into having open, honest conversations. The Associate Superintendent Rich has really facilitated our meetings along with Janine, along with Trustee Marks, Vice President Mejia, who I actually met back in 2021 as a member of the task force. As an educator, I really appreciate the systematic, kind of data-driven and evidence-based approach that's fully integrated and synthesized with every single person being able to ask questions, being able to challenge, and being able to build consensus. I am very excited, I'm very honored about the rollout of this graduation requirement in Modesto City Schools. And I really anticipate ongoing collaboration, not only as a member of the council, but also as pushing through and helming the creation of an ethnic studies professional certificate program at Stan State that is geared toward K through 12 educators and toward our K through 12 educators here in the Central Valley, in Modesto, and in Turlock. Thank you.
In addition to the community members, the group has representation from our school board, including our student representatives. And then rounding out the group are our district staff that have participated, and we appreciate all of them. In January of 2024, we began professional learning series for a group of teachers that volunteered to learn deeply about ethnic studies so they could develop our course content, the scope and sequence, and pilot curriculum. We have and continue to work with University California Davis and Epic Education. Our partners from UCD provide knowledge in the fields of ethnic studies, and our partners at Epic are empowering our teachers to lead dynamic conversation that is crucial to a crucial component of ethnic studies. The participants in the course development teacher group are listed here. We truly appreciate their dedication and perseverance in this work. The content of the semester-long course will include time to build relationships within the classroom and develop a community of learners. The fields for ethnic studies will be introduced, and then the course will move through identity, which is the examination of how individuals and communities construct their identities, history and movement, that studies the historical experiences of different ethnic groups, including major social movements, systems of power, looking at the structures of power, of how the structures of power impact different ethnic groups, and social movements and equity, focusing on the exploration of the strategies and tactics used by ethnic communities to advocate for social justice. The course will end with guiding students to develop an action project with the goal of students completing the project over their high school journey, making them eligible for the state seal of civic engagement. To provide resources for our teachers, our pilot teachers will examine 2 curricula at the beginning of this semester. Both Newsella and Actively Learn are online resources with a variety of materials so that teachers can select lessons that focus on the 4 fields required by law, as well as the student community. Next steps will be bringing a recommendation for the curriculum adoption before the board this spring. Ethnic Studies will be offered as a freshman course next school year, and we will continue to provide professional learning opportunities for teachers. Over time, we would like to explore additional ethnic studies courses that meet the requirements of state law AB 101. President Maestas, I turn it back over to you.
Thank you thank you so much for that presentation. Are there any comments from the public on this item? All right, we'll take some comments and questions from the board. Trustee Brown.
Yeah, just a quick question about the pilot that's ongoing right now. Is that happening at a particular school, and how were students selected to participate?
We have a single course going on all of our campuses, all of our high school campuses. We have pilot courses going on our high school campuses, and students balloted to get in.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Marks.
And just to go further with that, they did some surveys at the beginning for feedback, so we could see how the students were receiving the information, because it's a completely new class. And so it was really great to have the surveys, to hear from the teachers, the students, and how they felt about the class and where they were going with it. Just every part of this, and the fact that we as a board were willing to push it back, and the superintendent was to allow a little bit more time for the teachers to get more familiar with what they were going to be teaching, and kind of work through some of the kinks so we were ready to go for next year and do a pilot program. I really appreciate that because I know that was something that came up early on last year when we were discussing this, that it was a kind of a big concern. And so it's been a wonderful process. I've been impressed with Mr. Rich running the meetings. We're in and out in an hour, and all that dialogue that goes on happens really well. Everybody feels free to speak. Everybody is very open and honest about where we're going. Love having our student reps in the room too, and the feedback that they're able to share as well. And even just last week, or last board meeting, Trustee Dagger shared some great information about just walking around the room and how we were looking at some of the ideas that have been put forward and just discussing them together. I'm impressed with how the process is working, and I believe when we roll this out next year, it will be very well received, and I'm looking forward to seeing how, just how it falls into place with all the added time that we've had.
Vice President Mejia.
Well, first of all, thank you for the presentation. Thank you, Mary, for your presentation as well. Yeah, I just want to say, I've said it every time we get a chance to get it on the microphone, I get a chance to speak, how pivotal and how important to be sitting up here and hearing this after it was kind of at least first brought to me back in 2003 as a concept that one day would come into reality for our students here in the Central Valley and in California. So I'm just kind of excited and ecstatic. I know we're going to be learning, and I know there's going to be some bumps in the road, and just know that it is part of ethnic studies to kind of deal with some of those things, and it's part of that learning process that's going to take place. And as I said it before, I'm a ethnic studies concentration, so I kind of love it. But I know it helps you find yourself and find a purpose. And sometimes it takes a little longer to into college to learn about ethnic studies. But I'm super glad that a lot of students are gonna, find their inspiration and find themselves in our history and in our contributions to our society. And that's gonna be very powerful. And we're gonna see a lot of positive changes as students find themselves earlier than waiting until you get to college to see what the contributions they have made to this community, to California, and to the country.
Trustee Brown?
I have another question related to the pilot. What are they using for curriculum? Are they testing parts of both of the proposed curriculum?
Yes, they're starting the semester with both. They'll spend some time in New Zealand. They'll spend some time in Actively Learn. They will then make a recommendation and then complete the rest of the semester with the one that they recommend.
Cool, thank you.
Student Representative Dagger.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, as a student on the council, it's been really, really cool. Just being able to discuss with everybody, Trustee Marks was talking about. And I really do think that, obviously the content, there might be some bumps on the road, but for sure, the open discussion that we had at those council meetings is exactly what we want at the classroom level, because the whole point is that we discuss as a community, and we talk about everything that ethnic studies is about. And so I'm really, really excited to see students in classrooms discussing that on the daily in that semester course. I think it's going to be super, super valuable. And specifically, I just wanted to touch on, I was really, really impressed by the idea of the action project. That's going to be awesome for sure, because there are a lot of classes where you're, required to actually go out and do something in the community. And it's really, really cool that we're giving students the chance to take initiative on their own and do something for the good of, the people around them. And that's going to be something that I'm sure is going to prepare them a lot for college and whatever they want to do later on in their life. So, yeah.
All right, thanks. I have a couple questions. First, I'm thinking. That's what I do when I think. I look over a corner. I don't want to be necessarily, this is not skepticism, but I would like to see the data, if I can get the data on maybe a board communication on the student survey information, because I'm still very interested in how this takes with ninth graders specifically. I've taught ninth graders for many, many years, and getting them just to talk, I build culture a lot, and just getting them to talk about slope is difficult, let alone the conversations that we want them to have in ethnic studies. So I'm really interested in how it lands on freshmen as opposed to maybe juniors. Having taught high school for, like I said, for many years and knowing the differences between the kids, I just feel like it's so much easier to get kids to open up in their junior year than it is their freshman year, especially if it's their first semester their freshman year as opposed to their second semester their freshman year, when they don't know anybody and they're coming from different schools and it's a brand new school. I'm a little worried about that. So I'm interested in getting some data on how that's going to land. The next question I have, it's not really a question, so that was a statement. I want to know more. I really do trust the committee. And all the conversations they've had, I'm not saying that, I just want to know more, because I trust the committee and their thoughts about having it happen earlier than later in their high school. I'm just interested in seeing how it lands on students. And I'll get to know next year, because my son will be a 9th grader, and yours too. So, and I can tell you right now, as an 8th grader, I'm not quite sure I'd trust him talking about some things, but my older son, yeah, but my middle son, maybe not. We'll see if he matures a little bit next year. I know, right? I got a year to get him ready. 6 months, 6 months. We'll see though. I'm going to ask him some questions to see how it's going. I'm very interested and excited for him to be in the class next year. That being said, he's decided not, and I don't know why I'm giving this information away, but he wants to take this instead of AP Human Geography. My older son took AP Human Geography. Is there a plan for students that are taking AP Human Geography that will not be taking ethnic studies?
Yes, they'll make it up just like they make up health. So those same students that take AP Hug their freshman year have to take health at a later point in their high school career. Same thing with ethnic studies.
Okay, so I know that the health course is a pretty easy, like a quick course online that you can take. And I know that most of the time this is going to be a summer school thing. Is there plans to think about how, I mean, summer school's only 4 weeks. How are we going to hone in a lot of those things that we need to for a summer school class?
So she also mentioned that we're looking to add other ethnic studies courses. This is just the first intro to ethnic studies courses. So we are exploring other options that they might be able to take to satisfy that graduation requirement at other times. So that would be the goal, that we would have some options for them to take that in the interim.
Okay. All right. So that's just something to think about in the committees as they continue to meet. How are students that aren't in their freshman class, how are they going to get a similar experience when they have to retake this, as opposed to, you know, here you go, here's the computer, do it for 2 weeks. We don't want that to happen. So, all right, that's it. Anybody else? All right, thank you so much. I appreciate the report. We'll move on to our next report, which is a report on our GATE program. Welcome up again.
Thank you. Good evening again. Okay, so tonight I will be reporting on the Modesto City Schools Gifted and Talented program. The purpose of this report is to review the expansion work, explain the support provided to teachers as we implement the new cluster model, examine the work of expansion and implementation, and discuss next steps. Everything we do in Modesto City Schools is grounded in our collective why, or MCS vision, that every student will graduate with the skills, knowledge, and character traits essential to thrive. Although we are talking about an elementary school program, it is a program that sets a foundation for high potential learners to achieve this vision. This work most closely aligns with District Goal 1 by supporting academic achievement with equitable access by providing multiple program options to meet the learning needs of our high potential students. This work began in 2021-2022 school year. You may recall the regional GATE program offered at Lakewood, Sonoma, and Martone was the only GATE program prior to the 2023-2024 school year. A regional program is one in which high potential students are offered an opportunity to attend a regional GATE program school that is
in geographic proximity to their neighborhood school. For example, if a student is identified as a high potential student that attends El Vista, they would be offered an opportunity to attend a regional GATE program at Lakewood. For our regional GATE classes, a high percentage of the students in the class are high potential students. Based on the work of the task force in 2022-2023, a cluster model was piloted the following school year. A cluster program groups or clusters high potential students into one class with the remainder of the class rostered with neighborhood students. Offering the program provides an option for students when their families want them to stay at their neighborhood school. By offering both regional and cluster program models, we offer families a choice that will best meet the needs of their student and their family. When examining equitable access, we look at enrollment numbers for both our regional and cluster programs. In the row regional program 3 through 6, we have the enrollment data for 3rd through 6th at our 3 regional GATE school programs, Lakewood, Martone, and Sonoma. Looking at this data, you see that the enrollment for our regional programs has maintained for over 3 years. Looking at the next row, cluster program grade 3, you see the pilot year at the original 6 sites had 34 students whose families wanted their students to participate in the GATE opportunity but did not want them to leave their neighborhood school. That number grew when we expanded the program in the 24-25 school year. The 4th grade pilot program had 65 students that were offered and accepted placement in the neighborhood school. Looking at the total roll, we see that when looking at the number of students that were offered and accepted placement in a GATE program, either cluster or regional, the enrollment in the GATE program has nearly doubled, meeting the goal established by the Equity and Social Justice Task Force to increase equity and access. Here we are looking at the ethnicity percentages in our GATE program, both cluster and regional, compared to our elementary district percentage. In 2023, we had the 3 regional sites and the 3rd grade cluster sites. In 2024, we have our 3 regional sites, 3rd grade classes at our 19 cluster sites, and our 6 4th grade cluster pilot classes. Looking at the 2 columns representing students in this current year, we can see that our GATE programs now more closely align to our district numbers. Teacher support is a crucial component of implementing a new program. To best provide support for our cluster teachers, as well as the autonomy to choose what support best meets their needs, we have a variety of optional professional learning opportunities. We have full-day options in which we provide professional learning that is focused on how we use our district-adopted curriculum to increase rigor and complexity, and also have monthly collaboration opportunities. For our cluster teachers, there is a component of new learning around the best practice and then time to collaborate and plan how they might implement that new learning. Although our regional program is not a new program, they also have the opportunity to gather and share their collective expertise and learn from each other. We also have provided support through conferences from the National Association of Gifted Children. Teachers from our cluster program attended a conference in November, and teachers from our regional program will participate in a virtual conference in February. Another avenue of support is through our coaches. We have coaches from math, ELA, science, and social studies that have deepened their knowledge around high potential learners and provide professional learning opportunities as well as in-classroom real-time support. On this slide are the quotes from our teacher survey that asked for feedback regarding our professional learning opportunities that are offered. You can see that there's positive feedback and that we still have work to do. While many teachers have expressed that the PD provided is meeting their needs, we have some that are in need of something different. We will continue to refine our work in effort to provide a wider variety of support. I would like to now introduce the team from our cluster program at Franklin, one of our pilot schools. Catherine Mullins is the site administrator. Josefina Sanchez Perez, 3rd grade teacher at Franklin, is in her 2nd year teaching the cluster program. Emily Fernley, a 4th grade teacher at Franklin, is in her 1st year of teaching in the cluster program. So they're going to share about what the process has been like for them and what they have experienced with their students.
Good evening, Board of Trustees and Dr. Noguchi and the community listening. My name is Catherine Mullins, and I'm the principal of Franklin Elementary School. 3 years ago, Mrs. Hewlin invited me to join the district's GATE task force, citing Franklin's low participation rates in the district's regional program for GATE. And I recognized immediately that this was an area where we could make a meaningful impact for our families. So last year, we became one of the 6 pilot sites to introduce a GATE cluster within a 3rd grade classroom. And I'm happy to share the success of this initiative. Our 3rd grade teacher, Mrs. Josefina Sanchez Perez, embraced this vision and created a learning environment where her GATE students were challenged academically. And her classroom actually became a model for the district last year, where she opened her doors to all elementary principals, showcasing how she effectively supports both GATE and non-GATE scholars alike. And this year, we expanded our program by adding a 2nd GATE cluster in Mrs. Fernley's 4th grade classroom, accommodating a growing number of qualified scholars. In less than 2 years, we've gone from just 1 or 2 students in the regional program to nearly 30 GATE students at Franklin across 3rd and 4th grades. And we're excited to continue expanding the program to additional grade levels in the coming years. A key benefit of the GATE cluster program is that it provides students with access to specialized instruction while allowing them to remain at their home school. And this means that our GATE scholars can take advantage of advanced academic opportunities without the need to travel to a regional site, making the program more accessible for our families. It also fosters a stronger sense of community as students continue to learn alongside their peers and engage in the school culture that they know and they love. The implementation of GATE cluster classrooms at Franklin has had a positive impact on our school community. This program not only provides our gifted learners with opportunities to engage in critical thinking, creativity, and independent learning, but also benefits all students in the classroom. So by challenging our GATE students, the program raises the academic bar and enhances the learning for non-GATE students as well, creating a more dynamic and enriched experience for everyone. Additionally, the program equips our teachers with tools and strategies to meet the diverse learning needs, ensuring that all students receive the attention and support that they deserve. So I encourage and invite board members to visit our GATE classrooms and witness firsthand the value that this program brings to Franklin. Thank you.
Hi all. My name is Emily Fernley, and I'm the 4th grade GATE cluster teacher at Franklin. I told Mrs. Mullins earlier this year that I truly feel like I have been given a gift with being able to teach this class. The growth in both my students and myself is remarkable. I have been able to develop my own teaching style and skill through the GATE PDs, collaboration with coaches, incredible admin support, and input from my students. There's a lot of that. I had the privilege of going to the NAGC conference in Seattle this year and came back with a whole slew of new ideas that I was excited to try. I'm grateful to work with Mrs. Mullins as we have ongoing conversations about GATE, and she not only allows but encourages me to try the new ideas that I have. Through this, I'm able to see what does and doesn't work for my students. The one-to-one coach support has allowed me to create fun and engaging lessons. Just last month, John Carlo, a social studies coach, and I created a lesson about the California missions, which is a 4th grade social studies standard, but we taught it from the Native American perspective. This lesson was dynamic. Students went around the room and engaged with artifacts, took notes on a graphic organizer with rigorous questions developed through a method learned at the NAGC conference, and collaborated on a collective drawing to show their understanding. I asked my students what they want to do more of and what makes them feel engaged. They requested more projects. So, with the help of Lori Hewlin and Deidre Calderon, we restructured my MTSS group to primarily contain my GATE-identified students. During that time, we were able to work at an accelerated pace through the curriculum and to get to projects designed to go along with the reading. My students were and continue to be excited to learn and come to school. In the month of December, I had 28 students with perfect attendance out of a class of 32. Teaching takes a community, and Teaching Gate is no different. How lucky I am to have the Gate community and my school community to walk alongside me. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Josefina Sanchez Perez. I'm a Franklin school teacher, and proudly I can say that my entire career has been with Modesto City Schools. I'm in my 23rd year of teaching, all at Franklin. And I wouldn't change that for the world. Franklin students have my heart, and so do their families. So when Ms. Mullins came to me and asked me if I would pilot the program, it was an immediate yes. I was excited to see the access that my kids would have to this kind of curriculum without having to choose. And normally it was a no from the families to move on to a regional GATE program. For us, it would be Martone. Yes, it's relatively near, but it would still require transportation. It would still possibly require the separation of siblings at a site. And for many of our families, that's not something they're able to do. And oftentimes, even if they are able to travel, they do not wish to separate their children. As many families, we can understand why that might be. So when I realized that my students would be able to take part and have access to these types of programs, it was something that I was very happy to take part in. So I am excited because this program addresses the issue of equity and access for our students at Franklin. And like I said, I've been there, actually I was a paraprofessional there for a few years before I became a teacher there. So I have been there for over 25 years. And so it was a long time coming, and it was awesome to see that for our families. The families can remain together, and that is one thing that the parents have communicated to me that they're very grateful for. From personal experience, having those conversations with the parents, it is something that gives me great joy to communicate to them when I can, oftentimes in their native language, in Spanish, I can address to them what their students are able to achieve and what differences I see in our program that we are providing for them, catering for their abilities and their deeper thought process and accelerated learning. So those parents are very happy to have those opportunities for their students. Oftentimes we see improved attendance, but also improved attentiveness, because it is a rigorous way to approach a topic that other third grade students in my experience are approaching, but deepening the thought process and taking it further for them. So it increases their attendance, their attentiveness, and also their positive behavior, because I see many of our students who are very highly gifted thinkers, but they sometimes struggle with boredom because they are at a much higher level and the curriculum doesn't move at their pace. And because of that, we see some behavior issues. And I am seeing a lot much less of that because they're feeling challenged and they look forward to coming to school. Matter of fact, on Friday, when I said enjoy your 3-day weekend, one of my gifted students, who in the past has had a lot of difficulties with his behavior, he said, "What is with all these holidays?" And I said, "Oh Lord, he's coming for me," as he often does. And I invited, and I said, "Well, you know, Marley," he said, "No, we just got back from 3 weeks. And knowing that I can't come to school on Monday makes me so sad that I'm literally feeling like I'm going to cry." Those were his words. And this is a student who was constantly behavior issues in the office for his entire career at Franklin up until now. And he was literally sharing with me that it was going to make him cry, that he couldn't come on Monday. So I thought, oh, yay. He actually gave me a bracelet. I'm wearing it today. So anyway, we're all having our runny eyes today, so why not? I'm going to join you. So anyhow, so in the past at Franklin, these students have been there. We have always had gifted and talented individuals at our school. I've been there for over 25 years and I can attest to that. But what's beautiful and what's long overdue is that they are identified now and they know themselves that they are gifted and they are talented, and we are providing services to them, and their families realize that as well. So that is huge for me and for my students. They are no longer kind of unidentified or shipped away to where their peers don't know that they exist among them and they can see themselves in them. Representation is huge, and I love that my students are staying at our school and they're representing our school and they're representing each other, and they see themselves within these gifted students. I didn't write up, I'm just kind of telling you, speaking from the heart and from my experience, what I see and the benefits of what we've done for these students. Our Franklin talent is homegrown, and many times in the past, as Ms. Mullins noted, the students who did opt in to the regional program would often return. Mid-year, they would come back, and when I used to teach upper grades, and when I would ask them why they had returned, they would often, it was the same story. I didn't feel like I fit in. If it wasn't, I didn't feel that I fit in over there, it was my mom couldn't figure out a way to get me there or pick me up, etc. So our talent there is homegrown, and we're keeping them there, and they're serving as a wonderful role model to the other students of what is possible, and also to the teachers of what these students are capable of doing. And so I am enjoying greatly having the opportunity to serve these students and to serve their families and to make sure that they stay with us where they feel represented, they feel appreciated, and they feel a strong sense of community at our school. So thank you. Have a good evening.
Okay, another component of our work was creating a GATE community group. This group meets each month with participants that are parents, teachers, or site administrators. We work to refine and improve communication. The group outlined suggestions for communication to parents about testing, and we were able to implement all suggestions. We'll survey parents in the spring to monitor the impact. We are also examining GATE assessment data, looking at the data from both regional and cluster programs. The group also provides input as we look to continue with our program expansion. Next step includes the development of a video, the recommendation by our GATE community group. The video being created by our own IETS will highlight each of the programs, how they are similar, and how they are different. We want parents to be able to make an informed decision regarding the best program for their student and understand that the programs have similarities but are not the same. We will expand our cluster model to all non-regional sites, and the pilot sites will go to the 5th grade. And we will continue to provide and refine our professional development and collaboration opportunities, including involving more of our cluster teachers in the development and delivery of the professional learning. We are also exploring GATE teacher certification programs that may provide additional professional learning opportunities for our teachers. And President Maestas, I turn it back over to you.
All right, thank you so much. We appreciate this report as well. Are there any comments by the public? All right, comments and questions from the board. Trustee Brown.
Please sign me up. I want to see that class in action. For me, this is really an important matter. We recognize that education isn't one size fits all. We have students on every level of the spectrum, and we've always identified those with special needs as being the ones that receive special attention. What seems to have been forgotten many times in the education process is that the students at the high end of the spectrum are also special needs. And the identification of behavior issues where students are bored because they aren't learning because they're so fast at gaining understanding that they are just kind of left with nothing to do once they've mastered a concept. So I appreciate, I've got kids that fit in that spectrum, one in particular that really struggled through elementary school because he could understand everything beyond the level of the person teaching. And it got him in trouble regularly until he was identified and placed in a GATE program where he was able to learn with kids who thought more like he did. So I'm really appreciative of the fact that we're expanding and making sure that we can address the needs of more of our high-level learning students. And I know that there's been fear expressed from our teachers that it's a really difficult task to teach kids at multiple levels within the same classroom. So it does take special teachers who have that skill and the ability to do that. But thank you for those that can, and thank you on behalf of the students and the families that are having their needs met.
Trustee Marks.
Yeah, it was great. I loved hearing the enthusiasm. And I know when we rolled this out, there was a lot of anxiety about it. And I'm just to see us, the ability to expand it, and then also to see the increase in, or at least that African-American students, about the percentage, even though we're like 2.5, but I'd still like to see more African-American students in the program. And looking at the percents, it's good to see how many students are taking advantage of it and the numbers going up. That it's almost doubled. That's impressive. So I just appreciate this report. Hearing from the teachers, that's so great, just down the street too. So I want to come see the program. I was like, oh, I wrote it on my notes. I want to go see your classroom. So before you even came up. So I'm looking forward to seeing just in action how this is working in a classroom where you have both kinds of students, because I know that was a challenge to do both levels at the same time. It's like a dual enrollment class. Well, not dual enrollment, but combo. Yeah, combo. That's the word. We used to have dual enrollment. So anyway, or we still have that. But anyway, I was thinking of something else. But I appreciate that. So thank you very much for this presentation and for the teachers coming tonight and sharing your stories, and principal for just, it's a lot to take an evening and come and share it with the board, but it gives us a face with the program and gives us more of an understanding of what's going on too. So thank you for thinking of doing that.
Student Representative Dagger.
Yeah, I just want to say I was a GATE kid myself, so I really appreciate what you guys are doing 100%. Like when I was in, I want to say second or third grade, I wasn't in the GATE program, and I was just like, there were a lot of just like behavioral problems I had just because like I was bored. I just didn't know what to do with myself. And so when I was put into the GATE program in fourth grade till sixth, it was very much like it was fun going to school. Like I could relate to the idea of like, oh, like why are there so many holidays? Because like, yeah, it was just it was fun going to school, and like the learning was just, it was different, and being interacting with like students who were similar to me was just like, it was very fun, and it was very much a cure for the boredom that I had felt earlier on. So thank you.
Vice President Mejia. I got him. Go ahead.
I think it's on. Yeah. Maybe I need to get closer. So we kind of follow the data. I know we had the data some time ago, and then people had some thoughts about that. But I just totally just thankful that you're doing it, and I know those opportunities come. And usually students raise up to the challenge when you put them in a space where there's that environment. They start believing in themselves a lot more. And sometimes it's a little bit of a mental shift more than capabilities. Like it's like a little bit on the mind that they don't believe that they can. But putting them in the right space, in the right environment, I think makes a world difference. So I congratulate you. Keep it up. And I just love that it's not minimizing the regional programs. It's just giving expanding opportunity to more students, especially in neighborhoods where transportation and siblings is a big deal. So I just want to congratulate you. Keep up the good work, and we'll hopefully visit your classes soon. Thank you.
Trustee Lopez.
Yeah, thank you for the report and thank you for the teachers that spoke tonight. I mean, this is what equity looks like, right? We see an issue. We see the lack of, well, maybe not the lack of access, but the lack of opportunities based on a lot of factors, right? That don't even come into play with the school district, right? We talk about separating siblings. We talk about distances. We talk about things that maybe it's not the first thing that comes to our mind when we're like, well, we're offering the program. Yes, and how equitable is that option or that opportunity to access it to? So this is truly a way that MCS is leveling the playing field. And Student Rep Dagger and one of the teachers mentioned the student or about discipline topics with students, and it's like here you are today, right? So sometimes those discipline topics start to take a bigger toll and they start as a little snowflake and turn into an avalanche, right? And programs like this help stop that effect. And so sometimes we think it's a student that is defined by those discipline issues, but is as our trustee John would say, it's an at-promise student that we haven't figured out what the avenue to that success is. And so thank you for the strong work, and we look forward to hearing more great stories coming from this program.
Trustee Brown.
Sorry for circling back, but one thing that we hoped would happen as we went to this program was that the other students in a classroom that are not identified as GATE would also rise to a higher level, because the expectation is there for some, why not me too? Are we seeing that? And are we able to measure that to any extent?
We are looking at data on our benchmarks, and we are seeing that happen. We're seeing that other students are wanting to try, and they engage in the more rigorous activity, the more rigorous learning. They are asking for those opportunities to be included in that learning.
And I can also share that Franklin Elementary did significant improvements in both math and ELA. And what we should see as we matriculate from 3rd to 4th to 5th to 6th, that all of those test scores rise, not, as we go through the years. So fantastic job out there.
So I want to highlight a couple of things because it's going to come back to some things that I believe in, but some of these things, the doubling, we have double, and that doesn't even include 5th and 6th grade yet. So that is huge, and I'm interested in knowing. And we see that the 248, it really didn't change. So by adding this program, it didn't change the numbers at the other regional sites. Are these numbers about the same if you go back a few years? Does it run about 230, 240-ish?
I believe that it does. I haven't looked at those numbers recently. I think we saw a fairly significant dip after COVID. And so those numbers are now recovering and maintaining again.
Right. So we're not negatively impacting something else, which I think people had thought would happen. We're just adding in. The other thing that I want to know that's really striking to me is that the data that come out with the percentages, that's something in statistics that we call statistically significant. That is equity. When we have an equal amount percent, both GATE and all MCS, that shows that there's equity. There's a lot of research that you look at programs that separate kids, and you end up with inequities for our students of color. And I say "our" because this is across the country. And if we really want to get away and we really want to give kids access and opportunity, we have to stop separating kids. This is an issue that's really important to me, and I think that this is one step closer to what we want to do, is to provide opportunities for our kids. But here's the thing: this is what I put on my signature in all of my emails. Students will rise to the level of expectations. All we need is ganas. That's from Stand and Deliver, from Jaime Escalante. He took kids from pre-algebra, and in 4 years worked really, really hard and took them to calculus. We have to believe in kids and give them opportunities for rigor. And so one thing I had on here, I had a question, and I'd like to, if it's okay, we have a little bit of time, if one of the teachers can speak to this. There were two things that came up as people were talking about us moving to this model. One, how difficult is it to have this combo type thing in your class where you have the GATE cluster with several other students from that would not have been recognized as GATE? Like, how difficult is that in time in your work? Do you feel like it is, yeah, just I want to know, how difficult do you feel that is? And then the other question is, how do you see your non-GATE kids rising to the occasions? Like we have data, but I want to hear some human data if it's possible. Could one of you speak to that? Thank you.
So I'll speak to the first question first. How difficult is it to differentiate? So as teachers, we're very accustomed to doing that for our entire career. So I can speak for myself and for many of my colleagues, because Franklin, I might be biased, but we have a very talented group of teachers there. So we've been doing that for years. In my personal experience with my GATE class, both last year as well as this year currently, I find it just as challenging, but in different ways. So now I have the challenge of making sure that I'm fulfilling the needs of my gifted learners who can learn at a very accelerated pace. However, I do also have identified gifted students who are not on grade level. So we have this, stigma of the gifted student is always above grade level in all areas, and that is not the case. So I am still differentiating for my gifted students as well. I know that potential is there, but these students test as gifted and talented education kids because of some area where they have a talent, where they can see things in different ways, and it's part of our job to figure out where that is. So I'm still differentiating, it's just in different ways. And the students who are not gifted learners, it's kind of strategic how we do it. At least for myself, I can speak for myself in how we pair up my students in my classroom. I have to be very strategic in how I do that so that my gifted learners never feel that they're doing my job by being paired up with someone that they have to, kind of teach. But also personality-wise, some of these gifted students have very interesting personalities, and I need to acknowledge that. I've had autistic children as part of the program in my classroom as well. So we're still differentiating. It is still difficult. It is still difficult. It is still, I would say, the most difficult part of my teaching journey is how do I service all of my students wherever they are. And like I said, a lot of my gifted students are not necessarily on benchmark. They're not performing at grade level, but they have tested because into the gifted program because they do have a talent, a gift in some area. For some of them, it's math, but they struggle very much with their language arts. And a high majority of my gifted students are second language learners. So I have to deal with helping them and giving them that support that they need, because many times that's what's hindering them, is maybe the higher level vocabulary that they just haven't been exposed to. But once you hold them to that rigor, and you have that expectation and that belief, quite frankly, that they are capable and that they can soar just as high, if not higher, then they take off. So it's difficult at the beginning, but once they realize, at least for myself, what I expect of them, they start to move a lot faster. And then what was your second question? I apologize, I can't remember.
Oh, it was just, how are you feeling your other the students that are non-gate, are doing? But I think you kind of answered that in there too, that there's
Yeah.
a lot of mixture in there.
Yes, they are rising to that expectation, and they are. First, you establish the safety, as you said, you were a teacher.
Yeah.
Right. So
Mhm.
so I'm preaching to the choir. So once you establish that safety in that classroom, where I'm to the point with my students where when we review writing that they've submitted to me, I don't cover names. And this is with my gifted group when I have our fly time, which is our intervention program. I keep, like Ms. Fernley said, I keep my gifted students. And so when they submit their work, we've got a pact where, do I have permission to not cover the name? And we had to build up to that trust. So they know she's going to reveal my name, but I have support from my fellow students, whether, I made it to that 4 or that 3 on my writing, or I need to work on that. And once we have that safety, those that are not gifted feel very supported. At least I believe they do. I feel that they feel like they're supported, and they know that no matter where they are on their work, they know they're growing, and they know that they're supported not just by myself, but by our fellow students in our classroom. Once that management is down and that environment is set in the classroom, you can take them so far. So, gifted or not.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm interested in seeing your classes too at some point. We'll get out there. Okay, go ahead. You can add something.
I'm sorry, like this is my heart right here, are these kids. But I just wanted to really quickly add, I'm a little bit of a data nerd. And my data this year I have about half gate identified, half non-gate identified. My data this year has skyrocketed as far as like benchmarks, as far as unit tests go. My kids are scoring roughly an average of 79% on their SWON unit benchmarks, which is phenomenal compared to prior years. So I just felt like you're going to get all the data reports and all of that later, but I think in answering your question, it's important to know that the kids that are non-gate identified are also rising to the occasion, and we're seeing it in numbers and in behavior. So that's all.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, I'm a data nerd too. All right. That's it. Okay, so thank you so much for that report, and we'll move on to our next piece. All right, so we'll give it to Mr. Zerley now. We're looking at the approval of resolution number 242528 for the Board of Education, Modesto City Elementary School District, certifying all proceedings in the November 5th, 2024 general obligation bond election for Elementary District Measure X.
Thank you, President Maestas. Good evening again, trustees. This should look very familiar to all of you, and it doesn't get old. I mean, bringing this forward, and I just cannot, as many of you have, just thank and the support of our community and how it continues to amaze all of us whenever we ask for their support. It is my pleasure to bring this resolution number 25-28 to the board because on November 5th, 2024, the Modesto City Elementary School District submitted Measure X, a general obligation bond measure authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $85 million of general obligation bonds of the elementary district. The canvass of returns showed that 55% or more of the electors voted on Measure X, voted in favor of Measure X. Education Code requires that the Board of Education enter the election results from Measure X upon its minutes and certify those results. The final vote canvass from Stanislaus County shows 68.5% support of Measure X, and it is attached as Exhibit A to this resolution. It is recommended that the board approve resolution number 25-28 of the Board of Education, Modesto City Schools, certifying all proceedings in the November 5th, 2024 general obligation bond election for elementary district Measure X.
All right, thank you, Mr. Zerly. Do we have any comments from the public? Any comments from the board? Do we have a motion? Motion to approve resolution number 2425-28 of the Board of Education, Modesto City Elementary School District, certifying all proceeds from November 5th, 2024 general obligation bond election for elementary district Measure X was motioned by Trustee Brown, seconded by Trustee Marks. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? See none. Passes unanimously. Thank you so much, Mrs. Early. Woohoo! Yeah, I get a big woohoo out of that. All right, so next is our review of AR 1225 Citizens Bond Oversight Committees. Mrs. Early.
Yes, once we established or passed our first bond measure, we were required to have a Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. The first committee was for Measures D and E. With the passage of Measure L, we revised our administrative language to include Measure L on that bond oversight committee as part of their oversight in order to just maintain one larger committee instead of two. And again, now that Measure X is passed, we are asking you to review another proposed revision to Administrative Regulation 1225, adding Measure X to the oversight of the current Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. This is administrative regulation, so it is recommended that the Board of Education review the proposed revision of AR 1225 for Citizens Bond Oversight Committees.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Early. Are there any comments from the public? All right, any comments or questions from the board? Trustee Brown.
So since we have altered and combined and have one committee working, how are we doing at maintaining our numbers? Are we having any problem filling any of the specific seats?
We are not. We have amount of citizens to provide the oversight for the bond measures. It's amazing that they've remained. We added some for the high school when we passed Measure L that had to represent the high school district, but the original Measures D and E committee members have remained and are strong to this day.
So I know from having served on similar committees at Sylvan, people term out. Have we reached that point in the process where people are beginning to term out if they were original participants?
No, because when we revised the committee for Measure L, it established another set of years for those committee members.
So is
So
that
we're
going to
not there
happen
yet.
again with X?
If we can do that, yes.
Okay.
If the members want to continue on.
That's great.
All right, no other comments from the board. This was just a review, so thank you for that. Mr. Zerly.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Item B9.
I was just going to say, you're up again. So go ahead. We're looking at resolution number 2425-29.
Yes, this is the resolution of the board to oversee elementary district Measure X. And again, we already have the existing bond oversight committee. So with this particular resolution will allow us to consolidate oversight of all of our outstanding bond measures of Modesto City Schools under one committee and appoint the existing members of the committee for Measures D, E, and L to review the expenditure of bond proceeds under Measure X once they start occurring. It is recommended the board approve resolution 2425-29, appointing the existing Citizens Oversight Committee to oversee elementary district Measure X.
Okay, are there any comments from the public? Seeing none, are there any comments or questions from the board? All right, I hear a motion of approval of resolution number 2425-29 of the Board of Education of Modesto City Schools appointing Consolidated Citizens Oversight Committee to oversee elementary district Measure X. Motion by trustee Marks, seconded by Vice President Mejia. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, next up, Ms. Sharakina Shams, review of our student member selection.
Wait, point of information.
Yes?
Am I to believe we don't have Mike Henderson on the docket?
You know, I was just as shocked as you are. I double-checked my notes and triple-checked it, and I'm not sure if I can survive without Mr. Henderson. But we're gonna let Ms. Shams close us out tonight.
Thank you, President Maestas. Seeing as how this is the last presentation of the evening, I will try to take you through it as quickly as possible. So as you stated, we are reviewing Board Exhibit 9150 tonight. This pertains to student member selection for our student representatives to the board. The purpose of this presentation is to outline recent revisions to the student representative selection process, and then, of course, open this up to discussion and feedback from our trustees. To review our collective why, our MCS vision is that every student graduates with the skills, knowledge, and character traits essential to thrive and contribute to society. And this work aligns with District Goal 3, which is to ensure a safe, welcoming, and respectful learning environment for every member of the school community, while ensuring effective district-wide communication for students, staff, families, and our community partners. If it's a good reference point, we want to recap for you the current selection process. So the process as it is conducted today. The Communications Division oversees the current interview process, which includes notification of the vacancy, publication of the online application, a review of the applications, and then we go to candidate interviews, a final selection of the winning student or now students. We now have 2 student representatives to our board, and then an announcement in the month of May at the May board meeting of who those 2 students are. This is what the applicant breakdown looked like during the last academic year. So you can see we had a total of 29 applicants. 8 of them made it to the interview process, a very, very competitive process to winnow it down to those last 8 and then to make our final 2 selections. 12 students came from Enochs High, 5 from Grigori, 5 from Modesto High, 3 from Davis High, 2 from Johansson, 1 from Bayer, and 1 from Downey. And we can come back to this pie chart if we need to discuss further at the end of this presentation. Just to refresh everyone's recollection, the revisions that we adopted in June were really based on all the feedback that we received from this board, and those included updating Exhibit 9150 to include not just all 7 comprehensive high schools, but also Elliott Alternative Education Center. The board gave further feedback about the benefits of having 2 board trustees on the interview panel rather than just 1. So we are now up to 2 board trustees. That's already included from June's revision. And then, of course, we increased student representation to 2 representatives. We also updated Board Bylaw 9250 to allow student board reps to receive monthly compensation or elective course credit for their service, and that was thanks to state law that allows us to compensate the students now. Further board feedback was that the process must ensure fairness in identifying the top 2 candidates. The student representatives should come from different high schools, so not 2 high schools at the same time in the same academic year, 2 different schools, not the same school. And then we're also grateful this year to have received a considerable amount of feedback from our current student representatives, both Student Representative Gupta and Student Representative Ahmad Dagger contributed to this revision process. And their feedback was that the students on the school's site selection committee, which you're about to hear me talk about in a minute, come from a wide variety of backgrounds and experiences, and that the application solicitation process be widely publicized to maximize awareness of the position. The revisions in front of you aim to provide each high school with equal opportunity to showcase their own student voice, to level the playing field for schools participating, to raise awareness and enhance visibility of the role at the school sites and to inspire future candidates to engage in this process and to engage in their school communities in district-level issues. So here's the proposed revisions. The Communications Division will create and distribute the application form to all high schools. Each site will receive a list of their own applicants to facilitate the selection process at the site. Next, the Communication Division will develop standardized question for both the high school level or site level interviews as well as the district level interviews. And this last bullet point just references the fact that those two sets of interview questions will be different. So if you're a student who makes it all the way to the district level interview, you're going to face a new set of questions. Each high school will conduct its own interview process. And then a school selection committee there at the site will be made up of the principal, a designee of the principal, a counselor, a teacher, and 4 students, and they will conduct the site level interviews. Then each site will present its selected candidate for the district level interview. If the board president or vice president is unavailable to participate in that last piece of the process, they may designate another board member to participate. And as you can see in this final slide, the selection process happens quickly, but the good news is that between March 17th, when the applications open, to April 4th, when the applications are due, that 2-week time period includes a generous amount of time, the 1 week of spring break, when students have time to work on their applications, and then several days after spring break, when they can continue to ask questions and get clarifications before the April 4th date when applications are due. From the 7th through the 17th, the site level interviews happen, followed quickly by the site candidates being submitted to the district office. We move on to the district interview, and then finally, the announcement of the 2 new student representatives to the board in the month of May. So as you can see, the key change that we've made here is we've added that intermediate step, which is at the site level, which has not existed before. And with that, President Maestas, I'll toss it back over to you.
All right, thank you so much for that report. Are there any comments from the public? No? You sure? All right, okay. Board comments and questions. Trustee Lopez.
Yes, so, thank you for the report, by the way. When I was able to be a part of the interview process, I think it was 11 or 10, and I thought they were all great. I thought that there was only 10 applicants, right? So looking at this, maybe there was only 10 applicants, right, when I got to be a chance to be a part of the process. But I look at 29 applications and I ask, and I might have missed it here. Who's overseeing the applicant reviews? Not in the proposed new option, but who was looking at the applicant review beforehand? I think it might be the current student board reps, and but who's looking at those applications, and what were some of the determinations of not moving on to the second round?
Trustee Lopez, last year it was the Communications Division who reviewed those 29 applicants that came in. And we looked at a wide variety of factors from their grade point average to their participation in student clubs and activities, et cetera. And then we chose the top 8 to move on to the interview process. A tough decision for sure.
Got it.
That will now move to the site level.
The site level.
Yeah, and looking at the site level, I mean, I want to say that I'm not sure if, that is something that I would say is fair in terms of finding the representation, because yes, grades and involvement in clubs is great for the individual person's background and growth and mobility to the next step of their education. But when we're looking at someone, and the reason why we grew the board, it was to have to have a mechanism in which true student representation was being able to access individuals that maybe didn't fit that that box of your student president or your student body member, and looking at other clubs that might have a different voice and a different perspective to bring into the board. And so I don't know if by moving the process from the district to the each individual high school, we will be able to see that at the district level.
I'd like to get Student Representative Dagger's thoughts on that, because he might be able to give us some insight on what they're thinking behind that.
Yeah, so I liked the student like moving into the site level for a couple reasons. So it's actually because of that, partially because like when you have it at the site level. So my initial concern when I first got the document, because we got the document a couple weeks before and we were able to get feedback and stuff. So my initial concern was that we were gonna have the school selection committee be dominated by like particular groups. So like depending on the school, but like at our school, probably all 4 of the students would be from ASB leadership, which is great. Love our leadership students, obviously like super impactful and important, especially for picking a student leader. But you also want representation from the different groups. And so I think before, when we had it, it was we picked I believe 1 leadership student from each of the high schools on the inter-high council, and then you'd have members of the board, and they would be conducting the interviews. But now that you have it at the site level, and the 4 students that are at each of the school selection committees, if you look at it, it says like they have to be from different groups. So it can't be like 4 kids from ASB. It can't be 4 kids from me, the IB program, or PAA or whatever it is. So you need 1 kid from each of the different programs that you have on campus. And so that's gonna kind of ensure, hopefully, that we're gonna have like different perspectives. It's not all just gonna be about, 1 specific program. It's not all gonna be about like, a student fitting a particular box or having certain achievements or whatever. So I think moving it to the site level and having that increased representation at the site level will ensure that each of the schools is going to be able to make like the best decision possible.
That's a fair point. And so I offer maybe we talked earlier about having having, when we do interviews, it's about 9 or 10. How about if we were to do maybe a hybrid model of where there are 7 individuals that are chosen each of the schools, and I would say Elliott would be the 8th, and so then having the option of what was done in the past of looking at looking at all those students, and then picking 2 other ones that we want to be a part of that interview process. From the districts that we would also like to have in that process to equal a total of 10. So we're doing that model, but we're also keeping our existing model of our previous model to just kind of round out that group selection of 10 individuals. I mean, I leave that for the board members too.
So it would be like, let me try to get this. Each school would then give their 1 and then an alternate, and then those alternates would go in a pool, and then the district would choose 2 out of that alternate pool to then add to put 10 in for interviews. That's what kind of like you're suggesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, for the interview process, you mean? Like, so you would still have district level interviews, but you would pick?
No, you would have your local high school pick.
Okay.
And then each school will have an alternate.
Okay.
And from that pool, we would pick 2 that would be included into the final interview process.
Oh, so then you'd have 16 total candidates at the district?
No, you'd have 10. So you have 8 that were picked, and then you'd have 2 more that were picked from 8.
Alternates from the total 8. Oh, okay,
Yeah, yeah.
I see, I see.
Trustee Lopez, if I could offer a little bit of additional clarification. Feedback we received from the board last June was that it's challenging to get into a room at the district office and have potentially the 2 top scoring candidates come from the same school. And if you all will recall, the discussion at that time was how to prevent this dilemma. Because what you don't want to end up with is a situation where you say to, let's say, the second top scorer, gee, we have to remove you from the process just because you're from the same school that the #1 scoring candidate is from. So this was another key reason why we wanted to bring more site voice and more student voice into the process by creating an initial phase, that intermediate step where we're involving student voice at the site level to pick their own candidate and then send that person forward to the district office step.
That makes sense.
Did you have more, student rep?
Yeah,
Tagger?
So, the one thing I also really liked about the site level interview, that intermediate step, was also just that it added rigor. Because naturally, when you have like a single step, I mean, you had the application, but then after, from those 8 kids, you had to choose 2 student reps. At that single district level interview, I felt like it's not like it's up to chance, but when you have multiple stages, it becomes more rigorous, and it's a lot more likely that you're picking the best possible candidate that you can. So I just really like that. And the other thing I wanted to talk about roughly was Kaveri and I both, Student Rep Gupta and I, both had pretty similar feedback on this point, which was the notification point. Just that we wanted to make sure that students were being made aware of the opportunity outside of just through a Schoology message or an email to their Outlook, because realistically, a lot of kids aren't looking at that, or they're just not going to be as informed as they could be. So we wanted to have it such that each of the schools would have their ASB leadership class be responsible for advertising about the opportunity, about the role, because there's a lot of venues that ASB leadership has when it comes to letting their school community know about opportunities that school administration might not directly have access to. So for example, at Modesto High School, we have something called Mohai News, which we have every Tuesday and Friday, which every single student is watching in their second period class. And so everything that's said on there, students know about. So it's a lot easier, for example, to get news out that way. So I'm not saying that it has to be included in the document. I just think that when the application actually opens in March and the district is sending a message to each of the schools to let them know about it, we should really emphasize getting that advertisement out and suggesting that the ASB leadership class plays a role in advertising for that specific.
Thank you. Thank you for that feedback.
That's what I'd say.
Thank you. Trustee Brown?
Yeah, I want to focus on the final selection process. Who are going to be the deciders?
Almost
Is
all
that going to change?
students. So it is a member of student leadership from each site who is in the room.
And who selects them?
It's the Inter-High Council.
Okay.
So those are members of Inter-High Council that are in the room. And then also Representative Gupta and Representative Dagger will be in the room, and then the board president, and then the board vice president, and myself.
Okay. I think that's fair. Thank you.
All right. Trustee Marks?
Thank you. A lot of thought went into this, I can tell. And so thank you for that. I just had a question on if, I know you put down if the board president or vice president is unavailable, they could designate another board trustee to participate in the interviews. So has that happened at where we've had the board president or the vice president wasn't able to go to the meeting? Because it's a long day. I know. I used to do this a lot. And so I know it's a long day when you interview 8 candidates. It just takes time. So do we usually have 2 board members at those meetings?
The 2 board members at the meetings is a result of feedback that was given at the board meeting last June when we adopted the prior revisions. And so no, it has only been 1 board member in the past, and that was always the board president. So we're adding a second board member now.
That's good. It used to be 3 board members in the past, and so it was many years ago. And it just helped to have three, because then if one couldn't come, then there were usually two there, because that's the person that the board will be working with. So it was just kind of fun to have the feedback. But did you have?
Oh, I was just going to say, I do remember last year, we had one board member and they weren't feeling well, but came because everything was scheduled and everyone had this time
Yes.
slot. So it was like forced to come, which that's why we thought of this particular situation where
Could ask
you
for another one.
can actually be sick without having to rearrange everything at the end of school. So that's sort of how that played out. There wasn't a consideration for three, that can be a conversation here,
yeah.
but that was the reason why there was that alternative in the last.
Yeah, I'm glad. I thought that was a good addition to have two, the two board members, and then have an option if one of them couldn't come, that another one could come. So that helps, just because the process it's really fun to do. I just remember doing it and getting to meet all the students and hearing the feedback from the students about the students that were being interviewed was really a really great one. And I ended up being board president during COVID, so we did it all online. So that was even different. They are all in their bedroom, and it was fun just to hear them, and then have the feedback from the other members that were on the committee. So it's good. But thank you. This was really good, and I can understand Trustee Lopez's concerns about, ensuring that we have the diversity in the interviews, that there's opportunities for all the students, and then moving it out to the school side, I think is good, because it gives them a chance to say who's our best candidate and who can we send forward, that we feel could represent the interests of our students, but not only that, but the students in the district. So, and giving feedback. But that's thanks. I learned a lot. Thank you.
All right. I'm excited to be part of it later on this year. So thank you for that report. And we'll move on. Are there any items to be placed on the future Board of Education agenda? See none. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Moved by Trustee Lopez, second by Vice President Mejia. All those in favor of adjourning the meeting, say aye. Aye. Any